Les dialogues intérieurs, c'est une conversation en miroir, en toute simplicité, en toute humilité, en humanité. Les dialogues intérieurs, c'est un témoignage en duo où on parle de ce qu'on vit, de ce qu'on ressent, de ce qui nous inspire, de ce qui nous interroge, de ce qu'on aimerait métamorphoser aussi peut-être. Dans les dialogues en miroir, on parle et on écoute, on s'écoute, on parle. Multitude de points de vue. Et c'est ça qui est beau.
You're here! Oh my god! My internet connection is unstable. Do you see me well?
I do see you well, and I hear you well.
Oh, good.
Good connection on this end.
Yeah, I just want to explain that we met long time ago.
13 years ago.
13 years ago. It's craziness.
Yes.
We met on stage.
Yes, we did. We no sit, no stand, no lie, which was an incredibly difficult play. I thought, wow, what a remarkable thing. What a remarkable project that we were involved in, the Resilience of the Human Spirit Festival.
Yes.
And
oh my God, you make me remember.
They speak louder now than they did when we first performed them.
Yes.
Now would be the time to get this message out because we are living in this tumultuously difficult time. So I've been seeing your photos on Instagram of you at the protest in Bordeaux. Is it?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. I saw, I was watching France 24 this morning, and I saw people in Paris violating the social distancing to go to the protest. And here in Saturday, I was driving for Lyft, which is similar to Uber, but only better. And in La Mesa, they were protesting the treatment of an African-American by the La Mesa Police Department he was absolutely doing nothing, and harassment, he was arrested. And I drove in La Mesa for about an hour during the protest. I honked my horn, saluted in solidarity, and there was nothing from about 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. There was nothing that would indicate that that meeting was going to be any sort of that was going to get out of hand, nothing at all. And then I hear the police are firing off flashbang grenades, rubber bullets, tear gas, and then there's suddenly people looting. And for a minute, people were blaming the protesters. And I said, look, guys, it's not the protesters. There was nothing that indicated that anything like that was going to happen. Every peaceful movement that is counter to the current establishment, to the status quo, has always been infiltrated by a jeune provocateur. And now what's happening is mainstream media in the United States is finally starting to get hip to that. They're starting to report that. They're saying that it was Antifa, and it's not Antifa. But even BBC World News is on top of it as well. So it's a very interesting time for us during the COVID pandemic, an interesting time for social justice, and an interesting time for artists like us to make our voices known, because we don't have to always directly engage. I felt like I should have participated, but at the same time, I hear a voice telling me no, because you don't know what's going to happen. I'm an only child, and I'm a mama's boy. And I'll be honest with you, seeing that video of George Floyd being murdered gave me nightmares. I mean, I woke up one night from a nightmare, actually calling for my mother. Yeah, and so it affected me a great deal. And it affected a lot of people. And I know people who don't want to watch it anymore. I certainly don't want to watch that video anymore. Every time they show any kind of footage of it, I don't,
Yes, and for me, because the video, I saw it once, and obviously when you click on articles, you keep seeing it again. So I'm sure I saw it several times, and now even when I hear just the voice, I mean, it's unbearable. And anyway, it's Tony, I don't know what to say. As you said, as artists, I mean, as human beings, we are touched. And also as artists, we're wondering what are we supposed to, how are we supposed to act?
Right.
As human beings, as artists.
Right.
How we're supposed to protest. There are different ways to protest. By being silent and being quiet, it's also a way to protest.
Right. You know, a silent protest is just as powerful as a loud protest. But what's happened now is San Diego cops have always had it to use chokeholds. So it's around the neck. They call it a sleeper hold.
Ah, this is the technique.
It's a technique, yes. And it's it can be deadly, you know, depending on the person's health condition. Like Eric Garner in Long Island, New York, the man was over 300 pounds. He suffocated, and you see a man being murdered. Because of the protests, San Diego police have heard the people of San Diego loud and clear, so they have abolished that practice effective immediately Monday night. When I saw that news link, my heart jumped out of my chest. And I said, glory, glory, hallelujah. We made them do it. And this is the way we have to do it, by marching on the streets, by making our voices known, and by putting our elected officials on notice, saying, look, you need to do this, you need to support this. Because if not, we have an election year and, you know, titulaire, au revoir, adieu, you know,
I see what you
avec Dieu, because we're going to be right here and we're going to put somebody else to represent us who will represent our interests and not the interests of the corporations. Yeah. I believe it's a small step in the right direction. A small step, but a step nonetheless that's finally being taken. So these things happen. Now is the time for artists to find a way to speak out.
Yes, exactly, Tony. And you have your this is your mission, to find and to get cast for this kind of art pieces that need to speak and give roles to people, you know, not always white people. Not
absolutely,
always.
Absolutely.
No, it's not. It's just, first of all, it's a problem of Black people or colored people to be cast for supposedly white roles.
Right.
First. And second, please create roles for all colors.
Right. Absolutely. You know, because we, that's why it is so important to have Black theater and theater of color. I remember we did the 48-hour film festival last year. And last
I know,
year,
you showed me the film. You showed me the film.
Yes. We were the first, in the history of the 48-hour film festival, we were the first African-American cast and crew.
Totally cast.
And we didn't get any acknowledgement for that. We didn't win any awards, but that's okay, because people saw what we can do. You know, Thomas Jefferson owned 240 slaves, and he slept with many of those women. You know, now I want to say slave, he said rape, because if you're a slave, you have no choice.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it is rape. And his descendants hold a family reunion today. You know, his African-American descendants hold a family reunion to this day every year. And so it's very interesting how, you know, now is not the time for people to spiritually bypass it, because even with my faith, my religion that says that all mankind is one, you know, that doesn't give you an excuse to not confront social injustices. Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who actively, there's a difference between passive resistance and passivity. Passivity is cowardice. You know, passive resistance really does mean turn the other cheek. When somebody takes their right hand and slaps you across the left side of your face, you have an inalienable right to take your right cheek and turn it towards them and demand your right to be treated as an equal. And that's exactly what Dr. King did. And pacifism directly confronts the oppressor and engages in acts of civil disobedience. You know, it's like, oh, don't go here. Oh, we're going to go here and protest. You're going to have us heard. You know, the silent protests where people just gather in mass and peacefully to hold up the signs, and there's There's no chanting. There's no drum banging. It's there, you know,
Oh, it must
and
be so powerful.
it is very powerful. So when you have an art piece, when you talk as an artist and as a human being, and remember, all art is a reflection of the soul. And as one artist said, art should disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed.
Who said that? I love it.
I don't know who the quote
You
is.
you
I don't
say
know
that.
who said it. I said it, you know.
Yeah, you
Someone
just
said,
it.
you know, right. Someone says, well, who said that? And I said, well, I did. But someone said,
Can you say it again? I love the sentence.
said, okay, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Definitely on the same page. Definitely.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard to disturb, but we must do it.
We must do it. Exactly. You know, when we do that, you know, and we bring to attention, it's not always going to be pretty. But, you know, one of the things in my faith, the
Yes.
Baha'i faith, which I told you about, Baha'u'llah, who's the prophet founder of the faith, says to the people of African descent, thou art like unto the pupil of the eye, dark in color, but the fount of light and the revealer of the contingent world.
Wow.
He says that
exactly.
because when African people, when they, you know, even were African slaves in America accepted Christianity, you know, African slaves who were conquered by Muslim powers accepted Islam. They accepted this faith and it was theirs, you know, and they made it their own unique way. And so taking that light of faith of God, like the pupil, light comes into the pupil, you know, when it's dark, it expands, let more light in. When there's too much light, it contracts. And if your pupil were any other color, they couldn't see. But in that sentence, the revealer of the contingent world, there is no guarantee that what is revealed is going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty. Some of the things that are revealed are going to be pretty damned ugly.
Yeah.
And you better be able to have the fortitude to look at it and say,
To
oh
face
my God.
To face
Right.
the darkness, so
Right.
that you can transmute it into light.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think your country is doing this job right now? Do you feel?
I feel now more than ever that we are doing that, you know, and I hope the momentum keeps going. I hope we don't stop, you know, and as someone who's doing essential services, transportation, food delivery, I know I'm going to be inconvenienced by this protest, you know, by having to go around places because the police are blocking off certain roads. I'm okay with that. I know what's happening. You know, I know what's happening. And this is what is supposed to happen. Because when you consider society like the human body, the body politic, when there is a danger, when there's an injury, when there's a sickness, the body is hurt. There's a fever. And there's an autoimmune response to try to heal that. And what's happening is we're treating the symptoms, but we're not looking at the root causes. And now more and more people are understanding there is a systemic problem.
Yeah, systemic.
You know, and we have something happening. We're looking at it holistically, like Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
If you're having a problem with your foot, there may be something
in your ears
going on somewhere else in your body. It's like, oh, well, here's the problem. You've got something here going on in your liver. So if we treat that, everything takes care of itself.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And don't you think the whole situation shows us even more how everything is interconnected, and this root has these consequences here, the ripple effect is this, but this is that, and that we
You're right. And I think that binary thinking of black and white, it gets you in trouble because there's mitigating shades and factors of gray.
Of course, so many colors in between. I'm one of the color. You are one of the colors. I mean,
absolutely.
On the Pantone,
right.
Like Pantone colors.
Right. You know, it's like even when you don't see it, you know, there's the ultraviolet spectrum. You know, there's the visible light and there's the invisible light. You know, and without the invisible light, there wouldn't be any visible light.
Exactly.
This is many many indigenous tribes regarded greed as a sickness. If you have more than you need,
Really?
there's something wrong with you. Yes.
It's like a disease, like this unbalance.
Right. Absolutely.
Wow.
And that is why poverty exists, because of greed, you know. And when you think about the enormous economic disparity, not just between, you know, upper and middle class, but there's an enormous extreme gap between poverty and wealth.
Yes.
And in America, I'm not too sure about France, but I'm perfectly sure France being a former colonial power, I'm pretty sure it's true there as it is here, that race and economics are conjoined twins.
France maybe would deny it or make it minimize the effect, but I'm telling you that my perception, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, so, and it goes back to the beginnings of colonialism, you know, in the 14th and 15th century, you know, the great European powers.
This is the beginning of the capitalism, of course, the beginning
Right.
of the capitalism. I mean, it makes me think about the link and interconnection that exists between what European did by discovering America, what European did by conquering and colonizing other continents, and then suddenly what's going on in the United States. To me, it's just the ripple effect of all this triangle. When you think about this system, it's a crazy system. It
really is. And it doesn't benefit everyone as it should. You know, we needed to create a system that benefits everyone from the ground up.
Yeah.
You know, and there's nothing wrong, right? And there's nothing wrong with wanting money, you know, making profit. That's okay. We need money to trade for goods and services. It's greed that is the problem.
Yeah, money is not the problem.
Greed,
yeah, definitely.
Money's not the problem. Greed is the problem. Really, we're too busy competing with one another when really we need to be competing with ourselves. Because when you compete with yourself, you get better and better. You know, if I were to compete with you, I gain nothing except the stroke of my own ego.
Except the contrary of friendship.
Right. I don't know who said it, but someone had said the only person that you should be better than is the person that you were yesterday.
I love it. I love this. The only competition that's worth it. The only oh my God, I will keep it. I will keep this quote. Thank you very much. It makes so much sense.
Right. And, you know, and when we recognize that, we said, hey, look, I noticed you're trying for this. I'm trying for that too. Let's cooperate. Let's get together. And when you form communities, people living in that community work together towards a common unity, which is the root of community. Common unity, community.
Community, yes, right? I love it.
Yeah.
Diversity, singularity, unity, community, universality.
Universality, right. And from those diverse elements, you know, I mean, the trouble is many people want to create a colorblind society. They want to create a genderless society that we're all the same. We're not all the same. We have to recognize that. And the fact that we are different, those things should be embraced. Because out of those differences, you can create symmetry, you can create form, and you move towards a common unity, you know, and you build bridges of understanding and empathy.
Yeah, terrific.
So we need to build bridges of empathy and not walls of quantification of other people's suffering.
I love it, bridges of empathy.
I think it's everywhere. I think it's really, again, it's that built-in autoimmune response we have to pain. You know, Joseph Campbell, the mythologist, said that sometimes when we see other people in danger, we rush to their aid because we also see a part of ourselves that is also, this is what's happening now. People are crying out for their weaknesses. And too many times we've had this idea of like, we've got to be strong because the world is out to get you, you know, especially where Black men are, you know.
Do you feel right now in your country, do you feel heavy hearts?
I do. I do. Yeah. I feel like, you know, I have a heavy heart and a happy soul. So I feel kind of weird right now. It's really bizarre.
It's like,
you know, where it's like, yeah, But you know, when you have that heavy heart that's not breaking, I think that's key because it keeps you grounded.
Yes.
Keeps you aware.
Yes.
You know, and so again, like I said, you know, I go out, I'm on high alert. But to use another Star Trek simile, you know, some sci-fi comic book geek, hello,
Oh, yeah.
Superboy.
You have the right t-shirt, so that's good.
I do. I get out there, it's shields up, deflectors to full, weapons hot. Because I'm not so much afraid of the cops
Really?
pulling me over.
Okay.
I'm not, I mean, that is a fear of mine. But I'm also wary of how other people may approach me. You know, there'll be a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, how am I going to, because if I express a grievance and I say, look, I have this problem, I'm expressing a grievance, many people don't have the emotional intelligence to recognize that it's just a grievance. And so they'll react out of discomfort and use it to practice their debate skills. You know, when women talk about misogyny and sexism and this and that, there are a lot of men who go, well, you know what? I'm not that man. Not all men are like that.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
defensive, as if you were pointing them. Like,
right. Like, no one's attacking you, man. You know,
so
we're just
please
expressing.
give me an example of this kind of situation, Tony.
It was a situation that many years ago,
yes,
where someone, and I was the one who was defensive and I was wrong.
Yeah.
And it took me years to finally meet that person again and apologize. And I said, listen, you were expressing something in a grievance and I was a complete male asshole. And I'm sorry for that.
Really
you know, I didn't understand that. But now as you grow, when you become more emotionally intelligent, you understand that, hey, listen, sitting quietly in your discomfort is the best way to initiate growth and change within you. Because if you're feeling attacked, there's something, why do I feel attacked? Why do I feel this way? You know, why do I have this awareness? I had a good friend of mine the other night who called me, a white friend, and he didn't ask me if I was okay. He didn't ask me how I was holding up. You know, he asked me, hey, do you have a minute? And I said, sure. And he says, listen, I'm not comfortable with what's going on, and I'm pretty sure you're not, you know, and I understand that this may be affecting you in ways that I don't understand. So I pulled over and I sat down, and it was in my car and we're on Bluetooth. And I said, well, can I tell you something? And I said, yeah. I said, man, first of all, I want to thank you for calling and checking up on me. That means a lot to me. Number two, there are things happening that you don't understand that I do. And you may not be able to understand it, but I want to thank you for acknowledging that there are other people like me that are acknowledging it. And he sat quietly and he admitted to me that it made him uncomfortable. And I said, very good, very good. You know, this is one of the reasons why you're still one of my best friends, and one of the reasons why I still love and respect you, because you are developing the ability, you're recognizing the ability to be able, and you're having the patience to sit quietly in your discomfort. I have had to sit quietly in my discomfort, you know, discovering hard truths about myself and about my world and my relation to it, you know. For a few years, I performed in the MENding Monologues. The MENding Monologues was written and conceived by Dujardin, who created it as a male supportive response to Eve Ensler's vagina monologues.
Oh, yes, okay. The male version, okay.
And the male version. And there are things, you know, when you go there and you're a man not fully awake, whether you're awake or not, you do feel uncomfortable.
Okay, I see.
And that's okay, because you do feel like you're being attacked, but that's okay. You know, some of my friends are like, I don't want to go to that because I don't want to feel like, I don't want to feel like shit for being a man. And I said, well, a lot of white people feel the same way. They don't want to feel like shit for being white. No one's trying to make you feel like shit. If you feel like shit for being white, or if you feel like shit for being a man, you got to check yourself.
Yeah.
So understanding that, and understanding that change is going to have to start with us.
And recognition, as you said, Tony.
And recognition of that, right?
This
you know,
key.
Because, right, absolutely.
It's such a big word, because you have to pause, recognize and pause on the recognition and stay there, even if it's uncomfortable, as you said, like recognition of discomfortable things. It's hard in many ways, not just about what's going on now, in so many levels of life. Recognition.
Right. It's like, you know, again, one of my favorite characters, Superman, who fights for truth, justice, who fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice in the American way. Spiritual and emotional growth is like that. It doesn't happen just from watching one movie or reading one book. It is a never-ending battle. It is a constant state. Evolution keeps on going and going and going. And you may not get there. You may not get there. It doesn't matter, as, again, drawing on Star Trek, you know, where Data said to his daughter, it does not matter whether or not we reach our ultimate goal. The effort itself yields its own reward.
Exactly.
Not the praise and the glory you get from other people or the pat on the back saying, atta boy, atta girl. It is the effort that you make that is its own reward.
I like that. I like that, Tony. Thank you so much. I want to go back to the recognition, what you talked about, and also the fact that sometimes people say things and you're defensive, this defensive mode. Don't you think this is really also the key moment to explore when we feel defensive or we feel attacked, and to be able to detach and see our emotional reaction and not going into the revenge thing, like when you attacked, I defend, you offend, I defend, it never ends. This is maybe also the reason why we reach this point now of a person killing another person, because it's always revenge or revenge or revenge. Everybody is reacting, and then people die. Of course, they die.
And it's natural to have those reactions. You know, we have this knee-jerk reaction. But, you know, as like my Jewish friend says, you know, we watch and listen, and then we pause and consider. There's a word for that in Hebrew, Selah.
Really?
Selah means pause and consider. You know, when the rabbi reads to the congregation a passage from the Torah, and he'll say, Selah.
Wow, beautiful. I didn't know.
Pause and consider. And again, I learned that word from one of my favorite science fiction writers, J. Michael Straczynski. You know, after all of the events that we're witnessing in history, at the end, we Selah. Pause.
Oh my God. I will keep this one as well.
Okay. And it's funny because, you know, again, Superman created by two Jewish men from Ohio, and they named the character Kal-El. Kal-El is Hebrew for the voice of God, Kal-El.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And my Jewish friend told me that, you know, I was like, oh my God. See, this is why you need to have a diverse friends and find that commonality of spirit, because you learn so friggin' much.
Yeah, so different languages and way to see lives and explore and interpret it. Wow, that's so amazing. I learned so much.
You know, right, you know, and so I vowed to learn all of the good words in different languages, like, you know, je t'aime ma chérie amour, you know, or, you know, my ex-girlfriend who was Algerian, French Algerian, I say to her, je t'aime ma chérie habibti.
Ah, very good. Two words.
I love Habibti.
I love it too.
Habibti.
I love it.
You know,
Habibti. I love it. I love this.
Yeah, you know, Behirek Habibti. You know,
Habibti. So cute.
You know, it's so beautiful. You know, or in Kiswahili, nakupendo. You know, nakupenda. I love you in Kiswahili.
Oh, I didn't know.
You know, yeah, when you say it to a woman, nakupenda, and then when a woman says it to a man, nakupendo.
Wow.
And when we say, like, we have many ways of saying hello, you know, hola, buenos dias, bonjour. And I love it in French. It's like, bonjour, salut, coucou. You know, à tout à l'heure. And in Zulu, and I learned this from listening to a woman who gave a TED Talk. Her name is Susan David. She's a psychiatrist in South Africa. And she grew up in apartheid South Africa.
Yes.
So she addressed the audience with Sawubona. Sawubona, it means good morning in Zulu, but its real meaning is I see you. And by seeing you, I bring you into being.
And I acknowledge you. I recognize you.
You recognize you. And so when someone says to you, Sawubona, you say, Kigona. I am here because you saw me.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
So it's like, namaste, namaste. We acknowledge that we are coexisting and the co-creators of the reality of the moment that we are sharing right now.
Thank you.
That is such a beautiful thing, you know, Sawubona, Gigona, you know?
Tony, do you feel all your roots and your diversity inside your blood? I know you're an American and you have diverse descent, like ancestor, do you feel this inside you, or do you feel American and that's it, and you feel diverse by being just American?
Well, I know culturally I'm an American.
Yes.
I know I was born an American, but I recognize that there's a source. And now through art and culture and music, I'm going back to that source. It's like going back and discovering the roots. It's like spiritual archaeology, emotional archaeology, artistic archaeology, where you're boldly going, exploring your origins, where you've come from. It's like Star Trek, the Enterprise's mission is to seek out new life and new civilizations, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. Because if you look at that, it's purposely vague, to explore strange new worlds. Doesn't mean planet, it means worlds, way of existing, way of thinking, way of doing things. There's a different world out there that
belief systems, explore other belief systems. And
absolutely
navigate in between, bridging them.
Right. Absolutely. So we're going out there to boldly find what we really don't know, what we're looking for, but we're going to find it because we know it's there. It's waiting to be explored, and it may be seeking us. Like the poem, like the Persian poet Rumi says, what you are seeking is also seeking you.
Ah, yes, both sides.
Very careful what you're looking for,
It's gonna find you. Good, perfect, Tony. I think we created a new world by talking.
I think we have. We're constantly creating a new world, and we're constantly creating the future with our thoughts and our actions and our beliefs.
Thank you. I'm very happy to have you as a friend.
Absolutely. It is wonderful to have you as a friend. It was fate, or kismet, or basharat in Hebrew. We can imagine a better world where everything is united
and manifested.
And manifested. We can do that. We can create that.
We are, and we will. Thank you for being. You're the first dialogue, my first English introspective dialogue. Thank you so much.
Well, de rien, and thank you for having me.
I say goodbye to you. Have a great afternoon, and me, I'm gonna finish my night because here it's night, and then.
Yes, it's day here, so I'm gonna shower and start my work day, and perhaps get some food because I haven't eaten breakfast. I've been doing intermittent fasting, so
good. Okay.
Now is the time to eat.
Okay. Bon appétit.
Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Bye bye.
Bye bye.